So by now we've all heard the story of poor little Michelle Williams, who apparently didn't hire the right agency to represent her, and Mark Wahlberg evidently did. Turns out they were the same agency, but again, there's gory details. There was a reshoot on a movie called All the Money in the World, which was about John Paul Getty and some, it was kind of a thriller type deal. And I'm looking at Wikipedia here. I haven't seen the movie, so honestly, I don't know anything about it. But it turns out here that in the original movie, Mark Wahlberg apparently was paid $5 million for this flick. Michelle Williams reportedly was paid $625,000. She was the second choice. And it also turned out that in Wahlberg's contract, it allowed him to approve the co-stars, and he reportedly refused to approve Plummer, who was Kevin Spacey's replacement after he was MeToo'd. They threw him out of the movie and got another guy in. He said he wouldn't approve Plummer unless he was paid extras, so they had to cough it up, you see. Now, Michelle Williams apparently didn't have this in her contract. And so they had to go and reshoot the movie. I think it was 22 scenes they had to reshoot, so they went to Italy and they redid the thing. Well, it came out that Mark Wahlberg scored $1.5 million to do these reshoots, where Michelle Williams, because she apparently had a shitty talent agent, I think Ari Gold is looking for work, Michelle, call him. She received the per diem, $80 per day, to do the job. And so she was speaking in front of Congress or somewhere, who cares, about how oppressed the women's are. Let's hear what she has to say.
In late 2017, the news broke that I had been paid less than $1,000 compared to the $1.5 million that my male counterpart had received for the exact same amount of work.
Yeah, that's kind of in dispute a little bit, Michelle. I don't know the details. You probably do, and I frankly don't. I don't care enough to look it up. But there were 22 scenes to reshoot. And what I read on some story somewhere, and I don't know if it's right, so I'll see if I can find it, you had to do 2 scenes to reshoot. And Wahlberg had to do 20. So you didn't do the same work. Now, $1.5 million compared to 80, yeah, I can understand why that would kind of piss you off. But the way things work in Hollywood, I believe, you negotiate your contract. You agreed to do the movie for $625,000, and you didn't have any of this other fancy wording in your contract. Thus, for a reshoot, you were paid per diem.
And guess what? No one cared.
Well, you didn't negotiate correctly, or your agent didn't.
This came as no surprise to me. It simply reinforced my life-learned belief that equality was not an inalienable right, and that women would always be working just as hard for less money while shouldering more responsibility in their homes. And if it was like this for me, a white woman in a glamorized industry, how were my sisters suffering across their professions?
Did you have anything to say about the $5 million that Marky Mark got paid for the movie initially, and the $625,000 that you got paid? Was that also gender discrimination, or did your agent suck? Or maybe there were a bunch more actresses that could have done the job? I don't know.
When the news passed as quickly as it had broken, I sat paralyzed in feelings of futility.
Hollywood actress nominated for the Oscar several times. She's just a helpless bowl of jelly. She's oh, God.
I've been a working actress since the age of 12, and I've taken every challenge as an opportunity. I've been accredited within my industry at the highest levels, and that still did not translate into equal and fair compensation.
Did the gaffers and the key grips and the cameramen and women and the caterers, did they get paid the same as you? I mean, after all, they were working on a movie.
Months passed and—
Oh, wait. No. We don't compare different jobs when we talk about the wage gap. I keep forgetting.
The actress Jessica Chastain, with whom I had in fact once played sisters, asked my permission to take my story to her Twitter. She recognized 3 things.
I just want to apologize to Michelle Williams. I've not seen her in a movie. I'm sorry, I don't go to the movies very often, Michelle, so I'm sure you're a fine actress. But I've seen Marky Mark a few times in movies.
First, injustice. Second, timing. It was a different moment. There was a new clearing in the air that, thanks to the mounting Me Too movement and the work of Tarana Burke and the courage of so many women coming forward to tell their stories.
In the case of Kevin Spacey, it was men who came forward, but let's not get into details.
And third was her platform and her power.
You don't have as many followers on Twitter as Jessica Chastain? I don't know who she is either.
Jessica's audience was much wider than mine, and she wasn't afraid to pick up a megaphone and be heard.
Well, you need to work that Twitter, Michelle. You gotta work it, get the fans going. Are you telling me someone famous in the Hollywood movies, Oscar nominated several times, you don't have 1 million or 2 Twitter followers? Okay. Sure.
And heard she was. There was an uproar and a public shaming within my industry that resulted in a $2 million donation to the Time's Up Legal Defense Fund.
Here's what happened. Her agency donated $500,000 to this fund. And Marky Mark donated the entire $1.5 million that Dirk Diggler was paid for the reshoots.
A group of fellow actresses and I invited activists as our dates to the 2018 Golden Globes, where I was a nominee. And rather than talk about our dresses, we voiced solidarity for the oppressed and violated women in our industry and across all industries.
The oppressed in Hollywood, okay, yeah.
We were all a part of the newly forming Time's Up organization and seeking to roll out change in our industry as a rallying cry for others.
No, I'm serious. Call Ari Gold. He is top shelf. He will get you a better deal.
When I went back to work after these events, I could tell that my workplace was shifting. Rather than being grasped too tightly and hugged for too long as
was Joe Biden there? Oh my goodness.
the morning greeting, my hand was shaken.
Oh.
And I was looked squarely in the eye, and I was welcomed to my Monday morning.
She's got my respect. I respect her now because of what happened.
I realized this is actually what it feels like to be on the inside, to be one of the boys.
How's your buddy Harvey Weinstein doing, by the way?
In this space, respect and safety are out in the open. They are not just found in the shadows and the corner.
You know the guy who maybe cleaned your trailers or built sets for your movie? Did he get the same pay as you? Because after all, he was working on a movie.
And on the job I just completed 2 weeks ago, let me tell you something, I was paid equally with my male co-star.
All right.
Thank you.
Congratulations. So you fired your agent and you got a better one. Good for you.
And now we're at the heart of why I traveled here to talk to you.
It's just woo from now on. I'll put the link below. But the bottom line is Hollywood is unlike a factory job, right? You go to the factory, you put tops on bottoms, and whatever the pay scale is, you get paid man, woman, black, white, green, purple. Doesn't make any difference, okay? If you're in a union shop, for example, she's part of the union. She got a per diem. That's the union scale, $80 a day. If Mark Wahlberg, for example, if he were paid the same per diem and he worked for longer because he had more scenes to shoot, to reshoot with Christopher Plummer, he would have also been paid more. Yet you were being given the same per diem, Michelle. Do you understand that? I am glad you got a new agent. I'm glad you're being paid what you think you're worth, but really what it comes down to is this. Who puts asses in seats? Is it you or is it Mark Wahlberg? Who is going to make the most money for the movie, the most flash, the most status, whatever? Hey, it's a Mark Wahlberg movie. It's going to be fantastic. Or Michelle Williams stars in All the Money in the World. Link below. James Maxwell. Thank you for listening.